Hey guys, we're the Substitutes, and today we wanted to talk about some of the stars that we've seen in this World Cup and which of our clubs should sign them as soon as fucking possible. Omar, anything that stood out to you? Any particular players?
Yeah, not so much as a club that I'd like to have signed for Man United, but just more of players that I think should be picked up. I think the one that's most impressive for me is Amrabat from Morocco. Defensive midfielder, plays for Fiorentina, and the guy just performed against the Belgium, Spain, and Portugal. Like those are some huge, huge scalps. And even against France, he was excellent. So I think for me, he'd be my first pick as someone I think would be amazing. I'd love to have him at United just because I still think if Casemiro goes injured, I'll start getting PTSD for McFred. So yeah, I'd love to have him. What about you? Who's your first
Um,
pick?
the guy that stood out to me the most this World Cup, and I think obviously there's a bias here because we could fucking use him, is Jude Bellingham. Um, as every time he played, every time he touched the ball, every time he got into a tackle, it's just surprising the amount of maturity and the amount of drive this guy has and how gifted he is technically. That second goal um, that he set up, I think it was against Nigeria, where he takes the ball, he wins it deep in his own half, he rides two challenges, places with his third touch a perfect ball into Phil Foden, it and releases him for Harry Kane to score that goal. It's just he's so good, man. He's
Mm,
so good and he's so young. He's just got everything. He's just such a good footballer and he's got such a good mentality. I think Jude Bellingham for me, I just hope we can sign him. Um, there was another player that stood out to me
mm,
who I think may not have gotten so much of praise or so much of notice, and that was Rafael Leao. He scored some brilliant goals. Portugal looked better when he
mm.
started as opposed to Ronaldo, which I think says more about him and less about Ronaldo. Um, I think his work rate, his finishing, his general link-up play, and the fact that he's young and he's available for a pretty decent price, I don't think he would cost that much. I think that's a really good signing, and someone should go for him. Maybe even Arsenal. They need a striker. Who else
Ye-
stood out to you?
By the way, just you Leao, you mean Ramos, right? The
There's
guy who scored
two.
that, yeah, yeah, he scored.
There's
Okay.
Ramos, and then there's Leao as well.
Leao was really, really good. For me, I would just Ramos really enhanced his reputation.
Yeah,
That's someone I really, really liked. And like you said, when he replaced Ronaldo scoring that hat trick, I thought he was insane. But for
exactly. I was like,
me,
why the fuck isn't this guy playing all the time? Like,
well, yeah, look, that's a separate conversation on, the
we'll have a biggest flops of
the
the
former
World Cup
GOAT.
also. We'll have that video also.
Yeah, the former GOAT. Now look, the next guy who I think, and I don't look, he plays for Stoke. He can do it on a rainy day in Stoke. Harry Suter plays for Australia, the centre back. So he can do it on a rainy day in Stoke, and he can do it on the World Cup stage as well. Look, he conceded four against France, and look, I know it's a defensive thing, but a lot of defenders, when they concede, they take it collectively. But he performed so well against Tunisia, Denmark, and in the eventual loss to Argentina. One, to get it out of that group stage and get past Denmark, I think that's a big achievement. And two, to perform so well against Argentina. I think this guy plays in the championship. He's 6'6". He's quite imposing. He reads the game very well and he plays with his heart on his sleeve. So I think he's just enhanced his reputation in this World Cup. So he may have a chance to come out and move to the Premier League. Whether or not he replaces Harry Maguire at my club, I don't know. I would love to see that. I would love to see anyone but him. I know that he performs well
I
with England, but
broke my
I would
laptop.
perform well with England. Sorry, we have to relate it back to who we would sign. I'm talking about my standouts. I want to have fun with this one, right?
Oh
Right.
God.
Okay.
Um,
To you
Another
then.
player that stood out to me, and I think deservedly so, was Enzo Hernandez for the
Yeah.
Argentinian team. I think every game this guy was a superstar. I don't think we've seen an Argentinian midfielder with this well-rounded sort of game in a long time. He can win the ball back. He's tenacious in the tackle. He moves the ball on quickly. He's got an eye for goal. If you saw that third goal against Saudi Arabia, where he does a couple of step overs, and on the third one just shifts it to his right foot, clean hit into the top corner. It's one of the best goals of the World Cup, honestly. And he's so young. He's like 22. He's got all of this talent. He's got all of this ability. He's good looking, so he'll sell a lot of shirts too. Like, these are all things that matter, fam. So yeah, Enzo was another one that stuck out for me as well.
All right, I've got one more. Another Moroccan. Maybe there's a bit of bias in there, but Unahi, I think, is
Yes.
I think he's very young. He's 22, but I mean, look, he worked very well with Amrabat. I think he was breaking the lines in midfield. He was a constant energy, and he was also taking one for the team. He really like pressed so much against other teams. I know that Spain was absolutely furious with Morocco, but I think their coach, like, he came out afterwards and he gave him special praise. So that says something, you know. Like, I think he's a very young player. As always, I'd love to have him at United because, you know, like the moment Ericsson goes or finally gets that heart attack for playing for United, or, you know, we have to stick back to McFred, you know, or Donny van de Beek still won't perform in his lifetime. Of course, I'd love to have him at United. I'd love to have everybody at United. Can't you tell? Please sign for my club. All right.
And you really stood out to me as well. I think one of the things that I loved about him was just a no nonsense attitude towards playing football. Like, it was very, oh, this is my job. Yeah, I'll fucking do it. Like, there's just no whining. There's no moaning about it. He just does everything, and he does it really fucking well, like,
Yeah.
without any attitude. Um, all right, guys, those are some of our picks for the rising stars and for the players that should be picked up at this World Cup. Let us know if you agree with our picks, if there's anyone you felt we missed out that deserves special praise or should be picked up by your club or another leading club.
Or Man United.
Or Man United. Whatever. And yeah, let us know. We're the substitutes. Like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Cheers.